Hey, this is Cameron Parker. You're listening to the Unbelievable Podcast.
There were several groups. One of the principal ones was the reptilians from the Orion complex.
Without any exaggeration, it was like being on fire inside.
Rats were eating you inside.
This stuff was in my mouth. It felt like it was 500 degrees. It was unbelievably hot.
My first question would be, were you a member of the Church of Satan, a card-carrying member of the Church of Satan?
I don't understand.
There's always an argument for everything, you know? Just because somebody can fake something doesn't necessarily mean it's
World War, and we found a life form. And that's when I started shitting my pants.
So for the person who called, I am carrying an alien.
An alien baby, we covered right here, okay?
Okay.
Something is happening. What is it? That's the question. So do UFOs exist? It depends on what you mean exist.
There are many mysterious areas in the world that have become notorious for their high levels of paranormal activity. The Bermuda Triangle and its disappearing planes and ships, Skinwalker Ranch and its fearsome cryptids, the Bridgewater Triangle and Pukwudgies. But did you know that there is an even larger zone of the bizarre that stretches across the entire United States? Tonight, the Unbelievers Podcast digs deeper into the world of ufology to talk about one of the most unbelievable theories ever proposed by an ex-sheriff deputy turned UFO researcher. A theory that looks to connect a wide array of popular conspiracies into an all-encompassing superhighway of alien activity and government cover-up. So hold on to your split hot dogs and keep an eye on those unmutilated cattle because it's time for the 37th Parallel, America's UFO Highway. Right here in the program, we continue to learn to unlearn everything you know. Hello and welcome to the Unbelievers Podcast. I'm your host, Rus Ryan, and joining me as always is my co-host, Drea Mora. Hello, Drea.
Hey, what's up?
And our soundboard engineer and producer, Rob Okey.
I don't know nothing about it, but like I always go on the internet.
What's going on, guys?
Good.
Sure, certainly.
How you doing?
Should.
Hello, welcome back, Rob, Drea. It's fun to be back. Man, had so much fun because I didn't even realize when we were going to do Bob Lazar that UFOs and UAPs would just be exploding all over the internet and CNN and everywhere. It seems like everyone's talking UFOs.
I know. Now it's what the cool kids talk about. We're talking about it before, you'd be laughed at, and now it's like it's the hot topic.
It's
now.
mainstream. It's definitely mainstream. It's on all of the news outlets. I don't know what that exactly says about it.
But we have to do a Patreon show where we just kind of round up all this UFO news that's going on.
There's too much, dude. There's literally too much. I know Tom Reed was just on like CNBC or something. Yes. There was some sort of like, I heard it was a bit of a fiasco,
kerfuffle.
I guess you could say. A little kerfuffle with his microphone or his earpiece or something like that. There was problems.
Yeah, he had excuses. Oh, I only had 2 hours of sleep. Well, yeah, me too, right now. So what?
Yeah, well, of course, Tom Reed is going to bite on an opportunity like this. I mean, he just had his Unsolved Mysteries episode came out. He's kind of starting to be on the forefront of this riding that wave. But I am excited to hear that he really screwed it up. And I have not heard it yet because I've been working on getting this done. But let's get into what we're going to do tonight because we are staying in the UFO world. Let's talk about it now. It's the 37th Parallel, America's UFO Highway. Yeah, that's another great one from the Beyonderers. That's the 37th Parallel. This thing is so cool it has a surf song.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
That's tubular, dude. That's pretty good.
I love the Beyonderers. Great vibe. Tonight, we'll be discussing America's UFO Highway, the 37th Parallel. The 37th parallel is a circle of latitude that is 37 degrees north of the Earth's equatorial plane. Equatorial plane? Sure. It crosses Europe, the Mediterranean Sea, Africa, Asia, the Pacific Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, and North America. Where here, in North America, it stretches from Santa Cruz, California to the Chesapeake Bay. The parallel defines the southern borders of Utah, Colorado, and Kansas, and the northern borders of Arizona, New Mexico, and Oklahoma. It also runs through the Four Corners. You know that great place where you can stand in all 4 states at one time with different people?
Yeah, that place is super famous because of
it's
that.
Neat.
Yep. Colorado, New Mexico, you got Kansas, Oklahoma. You can hold hands in different states. But besides geographical fun facts, the 37th parallel has a very strange history in the paranormal world, known for everything from cattle mutilations to UFOs to secret government bases to ghosts.
Wow.
The 37th parallel, man, this really has it all. Yeah, and it might even have alien ghosts. That's a favorite of mine.
Oh yeah, I forgot about alien ghosts.
Forgot about them, and I love them. I'm glad to talk about them again.
And Drea, I know you follow the paranormal. Have you ever heard much mention of the 37th parallel in regard to unbelievable topics?
Not as much as I should have. I suppose, like, I feel like it should have the same notoriety as Bermuda Triangle or even the Bridgewater Triangle, but no, I mean, yeah, not enough.
I was going to ask if you ever went there, but I'm pretty sure you lived in Santa Cruz at some point, yes?
No, I haven't lived in Santa Cruz. That's a bit further north, but I've driven through it. It is kind of, I mean, I guess it's closer to where Cristo Rapolo was at in Monterey, though. So that kind of,
maybe he
that
is
lines up more.
Oh, okay. All right. Way to connect
that might
the dots,
be the exit. That might be the exit to this UFO highway that stretches across this country.
A popular off-ramp, yes.
All right. There we go. But my interest in this UFO highway, this was piqued after watching another great paranormal documentary series called The Unexplained Files. And yes, there are still many paranormal documentaries that we have yet to discuss. And this might be the most generic as far as names go. The Unexplained Files.
The most rip-offiest.
I mean,
Tough as it's known to its rabid fan base.
It's fun, though. It's a fun one. I've seen this one before.
It's all fun.
It's a fun one.
Okay, so this show came first, and then the X-Files took their name off of it, right?
No, no, not at all.
No, this is the Unexplained Files.
Rob,
it's completely different.
Completely different.
Completely different.
Rob, you don't need to explain, buddy. I watched all of these.
They're unexplained.
Welcome to the club.
This one had me so hooked just from the intro. Let's crack open our first unexplained file.
New investigations question unexplained happenings and otherworldly events.
I've never seen anything like it.
What have we found down there?
There was an unidentified flying object here.
One took up, the other one took up.
First-hand testimony and fresh evidence build new possibilities.
What I saw was real.
It just doesn't make sense.
Rethink everything you think you know.
Oh, shit.
Whoa, wait, that is so close to our intro, man. And that whole thing is so clippable. Or I'll play soundboard one because, man, coming right out of the gate, yeah, this guy.
One took up, the other one took up.
Pew! And went lickety split. Went into warp drive. Pew, pew.
That sounds like Russ playing with his Star Wars action figures.
One took up, the other one took up.
Oh, I love
it's
that.
So great.
It's coming right out the gate, firing, literally.
We were
really
a little
great.
short
Like
on
this.
soundboard clips last week. Don't worry, we've made up for that this week. Play soundboard 2. I had to get to this. It's just too spot on.
It just doesn't make sense.
Rethink everything you think you know.
Yes. Don't rethink the things you do know. Only the things you think you know. That's like, I think I know a lot. Probably more than I actually know, but I just have to rethink the things I think I know.
Yeah, this is problematic for me because I don't have very much confidence in the things that I do know already.
Maybe this is why I kind of liked it when I watched it. I subliminally had learned to unlearn everything you know in the back of my mind. This is so close. So no wonder I love this. I ate it up.
You wanted to rethink the things you think you might know.
Yeah, it was just speaking my language. It's very
You're
similar.
going to think about rethinking the things you think you know.
Well, that's how I got so sucked into it. So now that great intro is out of the way, let's begin to rethink what we think we know about the 37th parallel.
Ex-Deputy Sheriff Chuck Zukowski has been investigating mysterious phenomena across Middle America for 25 years.
Law enforcement training has taught me to be very analytical and question a lot of things that I've seen.
For decades, he specialized in a strange phenomenon prevalent in this part of the country: cattle mutilation, analyzing scores of incidents.
When it comes to animal mutilations, at first I thought they'd be pretty easy to solve, but the more I did, the more complicated they became. The ranchers were seeing UFOs, strange lights in the sky. There were a lot of strange and weird things going on.
After years of research, something about the location of these events dawns on him.
Well, I've noticed these cases seem to cluster around the Colorado-New Mexico border.
These states run along a line of latitude, the 37th parallel. Chuck investigates further he discovers that bizarre events and sightings are strung along this parallel for 3,000 miles, a straight line through the heart of the United States.
Yes, this is Chuck Zukowski, microchip engineer and sheriff's deputy by day, but paranormal investigator by night. And he is considered to most the champion of the 37th parallel. He has discovered this phenomenon, and it all started with being involved in cattle mutilations, our thing this year.
We know all about that. We know all about cattle mutilation.
Too much, or we think we know.
This is what happened last time, if you don't remember.
We went out to check the cows. We had some cows that were about to calve.
You don't know what happened to those cows.
Classic.
And they were gone. And Chuck Zukowski, this guy, he was a sheriff's deputy at the time, but he's also an investigator of these things. And he's got this theory. This is his theory that this is all happening because it's on the 37th parallel. Something weird about that. And the first thing you might think is, I don't know, maybe this is all just a coincidence. This is a pretty big stretch of land. Well, Chuck is going to stop you right there.
So is this just coincidence? It could be. But Chuck suspects something else might be at work.
I'm wondering whether or not there's this paranormal corridor going across the United States with a 37-degree latitude being the center line.
But if there is a connection, what might link these sightings? Could it be geography, government, or the military? And if there really is a paranormal freeway cutting across the United States, who or what is behind it? Could it be a hoax, downright lies, or a genuine phenomenon? Chuck is determined to find out.
Well, bless you indeed, Chuck. And you hear that? It's a freeway now. It's already upgraded from the UFO highway they started with.
More lanes is not really going to resolve the traffic incidents.
They would think that, but they just more sightings, more mangled cattle that are strewn across this 37th parallel.
Why? I just don't get why.
It's another highway to hell, you know? I feel like this...
I thought that's the song that we were going to use to come into this.
I feel like this episode is going to just slowly retrace a lot of things that we've talked about throughout this third season, which is... I'm already kind of catching wind of that. I think...
it's like a reunion.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. Trip down memory lane.
This is an unbelievable yellow brick road that Chuck Zukowski is going to take us down, because Chuck has been investigating UFOs and other strangeness from the 3-7 for decades. And in his experience, the best cases come from witnesses that are credible to him.
One of the best witnesses that I really like to talk to are former law enforcement agents or even current law enforcement officers. And the reason for that is the training involved in law enforcement is to be a good eyewitness.
Chuck begins his quest in Illinois, 900 miles east of his home state, Colorado. In the town of O'Fallon, just north of the 37th parallel, in the early hours of January 5th, 2000, 4 experienced police officers see what they describe as a huge craft floating through the sky. But to this day, no one is able to identify what remains one of the best documented sightings in recent American history.
Yes, interesting stuff in the 3-7. And as far as witnesses go, Chuck loves a man or a woman in uniform. And I have to agree with that. Isn't it weird, like, when you hear that someone in law enforcement or military, when they come forward with a sighting, it just does seem more credible than a Tim Peeler type.
We've talked about this also on the show. I think last season, wasn't there a flying humanoid episode where I believe a police officer was our witness? Yeah. And I remember us talking about this, about how, that's their job, is to be good witnesses and to tell exactly what happened. This way, the proper ramifications can be taken. You know what I mean?
Proper ramifications. Yeah. What? We can round these cops up, tell them never talk about this again. You're a law officer.
You want to know that somebody's going to go through this in a logical, procedure that they have. A lot of times these incidences, there's no precedent for them, I guess, but
I guess, but a lot of times it comes down to local cop people. Where no offense, but I don't see local cops as anything near paranormal investigators. They're like, a cop saw a weird light. It's like, well, okay, well, it was a cop, right? He has uniform on. Like, well,
yeah. It lends a little bit of credibility as far as their status, like,
it's because
in
it's
society.
Documented. Because their stuff is always documented. There's so much paperwork involved. It's something you can point to and say, this officially happened because this guy saw it. So it's written down. It had to happen.
Yeah, they don't have time for any bullshit, you know? They have actual, hopefully, like, you know, crimes to go and see to. So
you'd think
if they're going to spend their time on this stuff, yeah.
Part of their job is to serve the people. So part of serving the people is to tell the truth and to be, you know, like a stand-up person. So that's
good point.
They're doing their job. Assumed of them, yeah.
Yes.
And all right, and Chuck Zukowski respects that. He represents them big time because one of the women in uniform that he considers an a credible witness is Tina Joachim, a duty dispatcher who was part of this well-documented UFO sighting in January of 2000 in Illinois.
I received a call from Highland Police Department from some gentleman that stopped in and said he's seen a suspicious light, you know, over the city of Highland heading towards Lebanon.
Tina puts out a call to Officer Barton, who is patrolling the streets of Lebanon.
A two-story house. It had white lights and red blinking lights, and it was last seen southwest over Lebanon.
Just a quick question. If I happen to find it, what am I supposed to do with it?
The first team thought it was a joke.
And so did Tina. But moments later, she receives the shock of her life when Officer Barton radios back.
Be advised, there's a very bright white light east of town, and it keeps changing colors. I'll go over there and see if maybe it's an aircraft. It doesn't look like an aircraft, though. That's affirmative. Not the moon, it's not a star.
That's no moon. I love the officer's reactions to all this. He's so calm.
Like, what am I supposed to do if I find it? Pull that thing over. What do you mean? What are you supposed to do?
Okay. Play soundboard 3. I love when he said this.
Just a quick question. If I happen to find it, what am I supposed to do with it?
Yeah, like Rob said, you inform it of its rights. You hold it there until backup arrives, till Tina gets there.
He definitely did sound like, okay, fine, I'll buy it. I'll play along with this stupid joke.
But then
he sees it.
The second time you hear him when he's like, oh my God. Yeah, so there is a really bright line up in the sky, like totally eating the crow right there, eating his words. It's, yeah. I love hearing that. I love hearing like the 911 calls of people reporting UFOs.
Oh, you like those?
I feel like those are great, yeah.
Well, good, because we're going to hear some more great police sightings of this object reported over CB radio.
More and more agencies started telling us that they did see something in the sky.
2550. I see something, but I don't know what that is. SINCOM 6004.
Go ahead.
I've got that object inside also.
Are you serious?
It's huge.
What does it look like to you?
It's kind of V-shaped.
When you first get the call, you know, I'm thinking, okay, they're crazy, but when you work with these guys for years, you know how their voice is, you know how it sounds, you know if it changes, there's something going on. They were serious. There was definitely something there.
This object was above me about 500 feet, and it was huge.
These things are huge, man. But they still seem kind of calm. Like, they're like, yeah, we see it. What next? Kind of like that other guy.
Sky News 9 in 1999.
Those rods are huge, man.
I think it's a credit to them, though, keeping calm when they don't know what the hell they're dealing with.
And they're seeing it. They're seeing an object just sitting in place, Drea. Like, it's not flying over them. They're seeing this, like, gigantic triangular shaped object.
Yeah.
It's not like flying like a jet would. It's just kind of hovering there. And you know that, play soundboard 4, that one officer, he feels like he's in the Twilight Zone.
Is that what that was supposed to be?
That was the spookiest of theme songs. Play it again. It just gets you creeped out. This is how he felt.
Isn't that the same thing that they did on the radio show that one time on the Unbelievable podcast when the person called in? They did like, didn't they play like do 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 do?
Oh yeah, that was, they got him so mad.
It was the old like Sean Hannity radio show would play that whenever someone would call about the Bilderbergs or something like that.
Yeah.
You know what it was? Yeah,
that's what it reminded me of when you just did that.
It's the go-to cliche song. It's like, oh, this guy's looking a little crazy. We better hit him with play the new one. This guy's is good.
I want that to be my text message notification now.
I thought maybe that was like the canine dog in the car with him or something.
Right? He did it too fast and too high pitched. It just I didn't even recognize that that's what he was doing.
That was his UFO alarm going off.
It sounded like this is what it sounded like. That's what it sounded like. I don't know. I think he was trying to do 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 do, but whatever. I mean, whatever.
I can hear it now, but it's just he needs to do better.
So all these cops, they're seeing this object floating around. It's Twilight Zoning them out. And one of the officers, he was able to take a not very impressive Polaroid of this huge V-shaped craft. And they did make a point to stress that the officers, they were not just messing with the duty dispatcher, Tina, that they wouldn't do that. They're professionals. They're not going to lie. But they are police, and they are not trained aviation experts. So Chuck speculates that the craft, it might just be military. And here's why.
There are military bases near many of the sightings that form a string along the 37th parallel. These include Nellis Air Base and Area 51 in Nevada, Cheyenne Mountain in Colorado, Whiteman in Missouri, and Scott Air Force Base in Illinois. Could there be a connection?
I'm wondering if the Air Force is doing something and they're just not telling us. All I know is these sightings seem to fall right on the 37-degree parallel.
Yeah, and Tina, the dispatcher, she did report this to that Scott Air Force Base, and they didn't have any explanation for what all the officers in this area saw. They just thought that she was crazy, and they blew her off.
I thought you were going to say they blew her up for some reason. Like,
yes, they sent an airstrike in. The Batsquatch coming in, right?
Well, yeah, so I have to wonder if it's like a chicken egg situation where because there are military bases, that's where these crafts are coming in to investigate, or have they put the military bases there because of the frequency of those things?
Yeah,
right. And I know he thinks these are credible witnesses, but like he said, these are just local law enforcement people. The government has no intention of telling them anything at all. Well, they can see stuff and you'll believe them, sure, but they're not going to get you any answers.
If we learned anything from last week, we know that they have at least 9 flying saucers in their possession. So that this could kind of lend to the theory that maybe this is us using these UFOs flying around,
right.
Because those Air Force bases, they would have to have some place to bring these test ships back to, right?
It's true.
Yeah, because even if they're storing them underground, they still need a place. And they got to pick these areas that are kind of less inhabited. So, kind of fly over.
Top secret Air Force bases. What's a better place to do it? You know what I mean?
It's a big, deep, empty parallel, and they've got a lot of UFO stuff in there. And I'm glad you bring that up about the bases, because 200 miles west of this sighting is Whiteman Air Force Base, which is home to the stealth bomber. And the stealth bomber does training flights in the same area that this large triangular ship was hovering over Illinois. And Chuck wants to know, could this just be a misidentified stealth bomber?
Could a stealth bomber hover?
No, and I would assume that the stealth bomber would stall at a much higher speed. Jets are designed for high-speed travel. Our stealth is a delta wing formation, so therefore it's flying at very high speeds. What that also does is it gives it very poor flight characteristics at low speeds.
So there seems to be no way a B-2 stealth bomber could move slowly or even hover, as the police describe. But could the Air Force have secretly developed a new sort of stealth aircraft that could hover, like an airship? The problem, then, is the question of what the police describe as almost instantaneous acceleration.
Yeah, element 115. That's how.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that they brought that up instead of leaving it as kind of like a hokey, like, there's no way it could possibly be one of our aircrafts. Like, that's what they're doing out there, probably, is developing that technology.
I don't know. I want to think that there are alien ships out there. I don't think we have floating bombers like of our own. Or it's the Bob Lazar sports models, right? Maybe that's a little bit of both.
I don't see any reason why at this point we wouldn't have something close to those ships. We've been in possession of those 9 flying saucers for so long. And even stealth bombers, talking about stealth bombers, that feels like so 20 years ago. That's so old compared to the shit that they probably have now. Just makes stealth bombers look like toys,
Yeah. I don't think it's all that crazy that if we are in possession, like you said, of all of those saucers, that they wouldn't be able to, reverse engineer something and try to figure out how to use that technology ourselves.
Well, just show us. Stop being so mysterious, man. Why would you spend all this time wondering about it if you got it?
Don't you want us to be proud Americans again? Show us some cool shit.
Part of it is like what Bob Lazar was fighting about. What he was fighting for was that, like, he feels like holding back that technology, the technology that they have, holding it back is really doing a disservice to humanity by not
it's our human rights, man.
Give us telling us about it. But he kind of explained to us how it works in the documentary. We all saw that engine thing that they have. We saw him describe it. So, I think part of it is that the reason why it's always going to be secret is because the technology that it runs off of is something that would just turn our whole world upside down, and it would fuck with our economy, and it would fuck up our whole government's plans and stuff. So that's got to be kept under wraps.
That part I can see a little bit of. I think there might also be an angle as far as, international security. You don't want to like show all your cards.
All your cards. No.
That too. That's definitely probably
it could start spreading into the other parallels, the 36th, the 38th. It could be
those guys and those parallels.
We got to watch out for those guys.
You don't need them having that technology.
The only reason they would want to hide it is if they're using it. You know what I mean? Is if they are in fact
or
using
planning
it,
to,
which just lends more to the theory that all of these ships that they're seeing near these Air Force bases along the parallel could possibly be just human-controlled UFOs.
Yeah. You know what better toy than to have something cool that the other galaxies have that, and then we have it, so we get to remote control them now.
No, they're David Huggins' kids. That's what you've been raised for. They're hybrids. You can handle the inertia and stuff like that. Bring it on.
I love the idea that aliens do come here all the time. I think that they probably do, but I think that like the frequency that we're seeing these things at now, there's got to be another reason besides just like there's more aliens here. You know what I mean?
They're all getting their license around the same time, and they get a lot of
it's curiosity. It's a great spot for spring break, just for vacation.
Hey,
Earth has a lot to offer.
You're talking hotspots. Another hotspot on the 37th parallel is the town of Piedmont, Missouri. They have also experienced flaps of UFO activity. One in particular happened in March of 1973 over Clearwater Lake. Here is the first-hand account of the Piedmont UFO by witness Jean Coleman and her old friend Kathy.
What did you actually see that night?
The first thing that I saw was a red light. The first time I saw it flash, I didn't say anything. And then it flashed again. And I said, Kathy, there is something out there. And then after it got so high, there were white lights that was around it. They came on and then they flashed. But after it got so high in the sky, all the lights came on and stayed on. And then it just circled and went over the hill.
Just right there. Mm-hmm. Right over to the right side over here?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It seemed like it seen us.
But it made no noise. No noise.
You didn't hear any noise at all? Did you smell anything unusual?
No. Mm-hmm.
No, they didn't smell it. What is that a question? Yeah, this is just two gals in the 1970s, and they have this incredible encounter. And play soundboard 7. I'm sorry, poor Kathy. Poor Kathy, she can't get a word in edgewise the entire time, and she gets her chance to speak, and all that comes out is this.
It seemed like it seen us.
And then immediately shot down, like, yeah, but it didn't make a sound, though.
Did you smell anything particular? Like, what are you fucking talking about?
He had to change the subject. He was trying to shield poor Kathy from finally daring to speak, and just all she could come out with is this.
It seemed like it seen us.
See, Kathy, this is why we don't let you talk.
Oh, man. Poor Kathy.
Yeah, but friend Kathy, she does get more to say about her anomalous experience. Let's hear her.
So here we have some type of craft with lights, circular lights, no sound, no smell. Just what do you think it was?
Well, I had a lot of people tell me that it was probably one of those jump jets. And I was raised on the RAF base, and no, it wasn't no jump jet. No, I believe it was a UFO.
In my mind, I thought, if that is an alien, what can we do? I mean, they're here.
I have a brother that retired from the Royal Air Force, and I told him about it when I went home. He said, leave it alone.
Yeah, the military is trying to silence Kathy's own family. Leave it alone, Kathy. Stop putting your nose in this.
Oh, man. You know who they kind of remind me of a little bit? Remember this lady?
Like that. It went down, it went off like this.
Very much.
The way they describe
that vibe. And It was probably really hard to understand. I had to go back and check the closed caption, but she was saying jump jets, and it sounded like jump kits or jump kids. I don't know what, or junk jets. I didn't know what she was saying, but she was saying jump jets. This must have been some World War II era little like stunt planes that people flew around, but there was definitely not a junk jet or a jump jet or a junk kid.
And then I don't know. I was trying to remember what her voice was reminding me of, and I'm thinking of that one character in
She sounds like
Adventure
Miss
Time.
Pulley, obviously, too. I don't know why.
A little bit, yeah.
I don't know why, but I was just picturing Marge's sisters from The Simpsons. I know it's not what they sound like, but that's what I'm picturing. These two older ladies are very much like.
Yeah, they definitely seem like they could be some like weird twins connection that they have together. One of them's not very good at talking, though. Play Somewhere 7 again. I don't know why. I just love Kathy.
It seemed like it's seen us.
Okay.
Tree Trunk. Sorry, I had to look it up. That's the little elephant character in Adventure Time. Go and look that character up, and it sounds exactly like her.
She's the voice of Tree Trunk, Kathy.
Yeah,
they are cute old ladies talking about UFOs. Does it get any better than that?
And Chuck's loving talking to him. This is got to be one of the greatest parts. Just going around the 37th parallel, meeting nice people like these folks who've had great encounters.
Does sound fun.
But Chuck is determined to get to the bottom of the origin of these craft and their existence in his 37th parallel. And the likely culprit ends up being, of course, Area 51, which we heard does happen to be on the 37th parallel. So he tracks down a man named T.D. Barnes, not P.T. Barnum.
Wait, is that the circus guy?
Touchdown Barnes, T.D. Barnes, a former radar operator who worked at Area 51 for 30 years. And he had this to say.
Being a radar operator, have you seen anything there at 51 that you didn't recognize?
You would see things on the scope that you could not identify. This was pretty normal, particularly out of Area 51.
Is there still stuff that you worked on that you're not allowed to talk about?
There's quite a bit of stuff that was technology stuff that we developed that has never been declassified. And probably about 95% of the stuff that we did, we still can't talk about.
So you can only talk about that much.
just the programs that they have declassified. We can talk. We're allowed to talk about those, like the MiGs and the CIA declassified a lot of their stuff, but the Air Force hasn't.
So there's a lot of still classified info, man. 95% of what this old dude saw. What can you even ask this guy that would be helpful at all? He's like, well, we had MiGs. It's like, that was already in Top Gun. Like, what are you talking about?
I don't know. What about the Freedom of Information Act? You can't.
Doesn't apply, I guess, to this.
You can't do anything.
95% of the stuff this guy saw, Rob, he cannot talk about ever. I mean, that just seems a little. I think it's a little bolster right there.
You know how it goes. Once a seal, always a seal. You take that shit to the grave. These are secrets that you are trusted with, and yeah, like I said,
Rob
once a seal, always a seal. Once a Marine, once a radar operator, always a radar operator.
Yeah, of course. The heralded order of the radar operators are a tight-lipped bunch. So yeah, Chuck realizes this too. He realizes these military guys, they're not going to be much help for what he's looking for. So he finds an credible witness that doesn't work for the military, a retired commercial jet pilot named Mike Denon, who talked about an amazing sighting he had near Area 51 in 1988.
I was flying co-pilot at that time, and we left St. Louis going to San Francisco. It was about 1:30 in the morning. We were about 40 miles east of Area 51. We were about 40 miles out, and ATC came on, air traffic control, and they said, we need you to make a 90-degree right turn. So we made the turn. And we went up about 40 miles, and then they gave us a left turn, 90 degrees.
So what you're telling me, it sounds like that someone told the tower to divert you away from Area 51.
Right. I just happened to look out over the window this way, and I said, what is that down there? And here's this, it looked like a hologram. You can see kind of through it.
Mike sees what looks like a 3D runway and approach path light up in Area 51.
I said, what in the heck are they doing down there? And about that time, it looked like somebody had taken a glass full of fireflies and just dumped them in the sky. And one by one, they came in, made a hard 90 here, a hard 90 here, just like this.
So each one of them had like some intelligent control.
Yes, and I don't think a human being could take that kind of a whiplash. And
the G's?
It was unbelievable, yeah.
This is a great sighting. As far as I know, we still don't have this kind of craft, at least as far as the public goes. You heard that? It's like someone dumped a jar of fireflies in the sky. That is a great imagery. Like, I can picture that in my mind immediately.
That sounds so pretty.
It does sound beautiful.
And also, imagine,
a holographic landing strip, Drea. Have you ever heard anything like that?
No, that's the thing that would, go from pretty to scary right away. It's like, well, I want to be mesmerized by this, but this is also like really fucking creepy.
I love his reaction and just like, what are they doing over there at that Area 51 with these holographic landing pads that they have?
Is that Tupac down there bringing them in? What is this?
Yeah, like
talking about some weird neighbors and they're like, now what are they getting up to over there?
Yeah, like, no. So this is like some shit that is like, this could change you forever after seeing some shit like this, This makes you question everything.
Well, what are they doing?
Yeah.
Oh, I love this guy. This co-pilot Mike. So here's the rest of co-pilot Mike's amazing Area 51 sighting.
As Mike and the pilot watch, the strange lights land one by one at Area 51.
When I asked the captain, I said, what do you think? What was that? He says, we didn't see anything. And in the airline industry, if you talk about UFOs or flying saucers or little bitty gray guys, you just kissed your career away. Why? You tell me. What's the government trying to hide? I think we've got alien technology possibly, and the government's hiding it from us.
And I agree. And this is the first time that Mike has told his story publicly. And I dig it. I love this story. And it seems like they would keep these pilots quiet. He's just a co-pilot. The main pilot's like, yeah, we don't talk about this if you want your job.
Yeah, and at first I was wondering why would that cost somebody their job just to report what they saw? But I guess if I'm thinking about it in terms of, commercialism, they wouldn't want to scare people away from flying and stuff. That might be something.
Well, that, and I think they're scared of whistleblowers also at this point. Like, they've already got their hands full with old Bobby Lazar over there.
Bobby Laser.
And
little Robert Laser.
He's out there really spilling the beans hardcore. And the last thing they need is more of these guys. But no matter what, it's going to happen. And we're seeing it in front of our eyes in the news as like every single day, somebody else from the Navy comes out and just tells stories about how they see these things every single day.
Yeah,
maybe this guy will come back. Maybe his pilot buddy who tried to shut him up will be like, look, I feel bad. Yes, I did see this. They have holograms. They have little ships like little fireflies flying around. I love that whole just the visual imagery of that story is great. All these little ships going down to a holographic base in a mountain.
You can picture it. You can really picture it from the way he described it.
It's great. But he delves further into Area 51, UFOs, and most importantly to all of this, the 37th parallel, because that's his thing. That's the Chuck Zukowski special. So he talks to a prominent figure in ufology, John Lear. Very, very prominent guy. Let's hear what John Lear has to say about all this.
My dad invented the Learjet, and he had done a lot of stuff before that with the military, but that got me into airplanes. I worked a little while in production flight test, but I went into the airline business and was a commercial pilot for 35 years.
Through his family and his occasional employers, the CIA, John Lear meets some remarkable people, including a scientist at Area 51.
Bob Lazar was a guy I met in the summer of 1988. He worked at S4, which is where the government keeps their crashed, or however they obtained them, extraterrestrial saucers. And his job was to back engineer the propulsion system.
Ever since the 1940s, there are numerous reports of mysterious craft crashing to Earth. There was one rumored to have crashed on the 37th parallel at Cape Girardeau, Missouri in 1941. There was the infamous Roswell incident in 1947. A reputed crash at Aztec in 1948. If these stories are true, it would make sense for any remains to be taken to Area 51. Again, right on the 37th parallel.
See? Yes, of course, we know it's on the parallel.
He
get
can't
that.
stop saying it.
They're really pushing this. But there is something to it, though, and Chuck's going to figure it out. And before we go on, I don't know, play Soundboard 8, because we got John Lear giving us a really great, clear this.
Bob Lazar.
Oh man, it doesn't sound so much like the song. Like,
I was
gonna
say we have to throw we could throw it right into the song.
I know, and maybe we did.
Bob Lazar.
Play Soundboard 9. Someone might have done it already.
Bob Lazar Bob Lazar.
Oh, man. Instant gratification.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Perfect, Russ.
Now we have this great Lazar clip for poll results. That is exciting. Yes, play it again because it took forever.
Bob Lazar.
Oh, I think we need the full song. I think we need the whole song.
I have it.
Like
I
that,
already have it saved.
The trumpets are in my head already.
We'll get that working later. I have that done though.
You already did it. Wow.
Yes, I already did that.
I'm clapping like a child over here.
And that's John Lear doing it, so it's like we could say, performed by John Lear. It's great.
Featuring, maybe.
Yeah, that's good. I like it.
Well, thank you. But Chuck's got to keep rolling on. This is a big parallel. There's a lot to cover. So he moves on from Area 51 to another well-known facility in ufology to meet with author and researcher John Rhodes.
He's traveling east along the 37th parallel in search of another reputed secret base in New Mexico. Dulce is a small town in the Jicarilla Apache Nation. At a quiet spot beneath the slopes of Archuleta Mesa, Chuck meets author and researcher John Rhodes.
I've heard a lot of crazy stuff about this area. What's going on here?
Up in this mountainous area, we've got an underground base. We've had a lot of reports from people who are claiming that inside this base, there might be some non-human entities actually in the base working side by side with humans.
You're telling me that there's aliens, non-humans, living in a base over here?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, we know who's there. Phil Schneider. Man,
Heck yeah.
You gotta admit, the 37th, this is like the greatest hits of the Unbelievable Mist and Folklore, just all on his one line through the country. We've got Phil Schneider, Area 51, Dead Cows. It's all there.
It's crazy. It feels like one of those movies that just gets all the action stars in the same one.
Sounds like it would be a great road trip. I kind of want to just take that road trip down the 37th parallel.
Like, it's like Russ said earlier, how he's just going along, meeting people along the 37th parallel, having a great time. That's a perfect road trip.
Hey, you start in Santa Cruz. It'd be a lot of fun to go through all that, to go through the whole thing and, follow this whole mist. But John Rhodes, John Rhodes has more to say about this alien-infested bases in the pitch black of night.
Most of all the upper levels are managed by humans. We have areas that are off limits to humans, which only aliens are allowed.
There's a 4-mile diameter base underground. How can that even be possible?
It's absolutely possible. There are a lot of historical documents as well as government documents saying such a place like this not only can exist, they do exist across the United States. These are images of thermonuclear boring machines. And what they'll do is they'll superheat the rock. Granite will melt at 18 to 100 degrees centigrade. It melts into a liquid form, into magma. And so what they're doing is they're cracking the earth and pushing through. And as they push through, the magma permeates the outside casing of the tunnel. And what they end up with is a glass-lined tunnel.
It sounds like a machine from some crazy science fiction B-movie, but patents from the 1970s show such a tunneling engine.
Yeah, he's going to stop you right there. These giant plutonium-powered, whatever, drilling machines, where do they hide these things? I guess underground.
Underground, man, yeah.
He's right. It does sound like something from one of those disaster movies like The Core or with Deep Impact or something. They do have these giant drilling machines that they've connected this bases together with.
Yep. I've seen these things. I think there was either something about the Denver International Airport that they're using some sort of drilling machines underneath it. Sounds very similar to this sort of technology, but we all know what's going to end up if you go down there because we all know Phil Schneider, what happened to him.
Completely crispy crittered my left foot.
Save that for our episode on the second perpendicular. This is the 37th parallel. We can't get up a little further anymore.
But they're all connected.
We've kind of last week you spoke on Bob Lazar. This gives us a good chance for now. Drea, I'm going to ask you because we're talking about Dulce Base. Do you believe Phil Schneider?
Yeah, absolutely. It's that same. It comes down to that same thing. There's too many. There's too much for him to have lost already. Like, why would he double down? Why would he stick with it? His whole life was basically ruined by it. He even said that whole thing about, if I, apparently, quote unquote, kill myself. I didn't. I was killed. So,
and it happened. Yeah, I do too. I won't besmirch Phil Schneider for a second. How about you, Rob?
The one thing that always bothered me about the Phil Schneider story was his penis. about how he said that his penis was split in half like a hot dog. But then afterwards, the coroner said that his penis was insignificant. There was nothing.
They said unremarkable.
Unremarkable.
But that was this leading that just lent more credence to the whole thing that it was a cover up, because there were so many things that should have been taken note of during that autopsy, like the metal plate or like this, like his certain joints that were messed up and everything, that in autopsy, a coroner would have been like, oh, okay, noting this and this and that. Nothing was mentioned. So, his story is very extensive, and the layers that it has to it and the way that he tells the story is very convincing, very matter of fact. So I do believe a lot of things he says, but I can't say that I 100% believe that Phil Schneider. Like, there might be a couple of liberties taken, little things.
There may be some liberties taken. I think he saw some shit, but I don't know.
I think a lot of people have.
I think it was embellished a little bit. You know what I mean?
That's the word.
I think it's the Parallel's fault for this. And I was surprised. They talked about Dulce a lot in this, and they traveled there. They didn't really mention the man himself, Phil Schneider, so I felt obliged to. But Chuck Zukowski, he tries to investigate the area around Dulce, but he is denied access. He cannot get on these secret ranches. So he talks to a local rancher named Ed Gomez, who owns land near Dulce. And Ed Gomez has had his own flap with the Unbelievable. Cattle mutilations on the 37th parallel.
How many mutilations have you had over the years in your ranch?
From 1976 to 1985, we had 23 actual mutilations.
Eventually, the family is driven out of business and lose their ranch. But not before Ed manages to investigate for himself what is happening on the north side of Archuleta Mesa. He's brought a video to show Chuck some of what he discovers.
What's this?
This is the Redding Ranch. This ranch was highly fortified. You couldn't get into this ranch.
One of the peculiar features Ed notices are these towers. The owners of the ranch describe them as hunting towers.
What you're seeing here is a close-up of one of the hunting towers. But if you look closer at it, it's constructed out of very heavy-gauge steel, and it's actually bulletproof.
That doesn't look like any hunting tower I've ever seen.
I think they're security posts.
Yeah, he found good proof of the existence of these bases in Dulce. He's got giant bulletproof guard towers that he's been able to film and capture before he was kicked off while his cattle were getting mutilated in the area.
Yeah, yikes. It kind of feels like he's describing almost a prison then.
Sort of, or
because
just
like trying to keep something inside,
Well, that, or it's just very secretive, and like they really don't want anybody coming near this thing, so they have to have like a lookout tower, so that in case anybody does try to come on, they can stop them far away from it,
or get out really quickly. We know that Phil Schneider was warring with aliens at the bottom layers of this place, so it could work as a prison, like you say, Drea. This could be some kind of I feel like
there's got to be some kind of
prison,
or not so much like prison as I guess like research facility. Like they're obviously keeping things there that would normally want to leave. I don't know. It just feels fishy to me.
I forgot to mention before, I loved the detail that there are certain areas where only aliens are allowed to go.
Yeah. I do love that too.
In that one facility. Because it makes me imagine like it's like a nightclub and there's like an alien bouncer, and like when humans try to come up, he's like, no way,
wrong
dude.
Floor.
Get out of here. You're like, come on, man. Let me in. He's like, no fucking way, dude.
Floor 37 is just for us. Get out of here. And even though rancher Ed Gomez has good reason to believe in secret bases, he doesn't believe it was aliens mutilating his cattle. He has his own theory.
When I first heard about, the alien base, the Dulce Papers, you don't know what to think. Maybe it was, sci-fi. Maybe it was true. But without any scientific proof that there was actual aliens, there was an alien base, I never really, did believe it. We suspect that there was probably chemical biological warfare experimentation being conducted in this region.
Yeah, a chemical war waged on innocent cattle, only in the 37th would this happen.
That still perplexes me, though. Like, I believe a lot of the stories about cattle mutilation. It's just so weird that it's almost always cows. Like, why?
It's totally an unsolved murder of a horse.
Yes, R.I.P. Snippy. We'll never forget you.
I forgot about Snippy.
Just like Snippy.
I did forget.
This is just like Snippy, man.
We promised we wouldn't forget. What the hell? Right?
I'm a bad person. I fucked up. All right.
But you heard the guy. Yes, thank you. You heard the guy. Now, he may not think it was aliens, but the one thing that these researchers and witnesses agree on, be it alien or CIA, is that there is a secret base there. Does it have Phil Schneider shooting aliens and getting his penis split? Or maybe it's the CIA poisoning cattle? Well, we don't know. But Chuck theorizes, from talking to all these incredible witnesses and researchers, he theorizes that there is an interconnected system of underground bases that do hide UFOs, of course, all along the 37th parallel. Mm-hmm. And his final interview is with a real bigwig. He gets a great interview here with ex-state Senator Dave Schmidt. You guys, of course, have all heard of
the Schmidt. The Schmidtster's coming on here?
Schmitty's up to bat, ex-state Senator Dave Schmidt, and he's going to break down the chain of command behind these secret UFO programs.
Exactly on the 37th parallel, Chuck meets one last person. Ex-state Senator Dave Schmidt.
I've talked with credible witnesses across the U.S. that talk about these unusual flying craft that they've seen. I've talked with other people that said there's these secret military underground bases that fall on this 37th parallel across the United States. Is there anybody within the government I can talk to that can tell me whether or not this is true?
I tried to get information, and I could never get it out of them. What I learned from the years that I was in office, the real power in government doesn't lie with the people who are elected or the agency directors, because those are the people that are here today and gone tomorrow. The real power lies in the next step down, the top level of the career people. They are career folks. They're there for 20 and 30 years.
Wow, I can't believe our state senators are being left on the dark in this one.
How are we supposed to trust politicians if they're not given all the information on this stuff, huh?
I don't know what this Dave Schmidt is talking about. I think we all assume that it's just the Illuminati, it's the Bohemian Grove folks, that they're the only ones that are in the know about any of this. State Senator Dave Schmidt or Comptroller Tompkins, whoever, they don't know anything. I don't know why he thought, like, I finally got a big dude in the government to break it open. It's like, what are you talking about?
Even if he did know something, he would have just given some political answer. It would have just been like some...
The aliens won't let it happen. They reveal all their secrets.
And I mean, he would have turned it around and made it like a joke or something.
You're like, I have all the top secret information.
Basically.
Okay.
Wait.
All right, Rob's got to play it now.
I have the top secret information. I just can't share it. You don't think...
I just can't. I'm sorry. I want to serve the people, but I can't. He's just butthurt that he's not let into Bohemian Grove.
He's not in the secret club. He's never going to be. But they do have a final question for the ex-state senator. Does he believe the 37th parallel bases exist?
Oh, absolutely. Because people have seen them. They've seen the evidence of them. They don't get to go inside, but they have seen the evidence.
And both John Lear and John Rhodes are convinced too.
I think it's more than just an idea. I think that's actually a fact.
Yeah, that seems logical to me.
But any definitive answer of what the military knows about alien technology and a series of secret bases underneath the United States lies here, in the Pentagon. They are unlikely to tell Chuck what they know anytime soon. So for the moment, this theory remains confined to a map, a line across America, where unidentified craft gather for purposes still unknown.
The file is still unexplained. File 37. It's still an unknown. We don't know quite what's going on.
Damn. Yeah, they're going to be really disappointed if they end up explaining all of their files. And so maybe...
All right, you wouldn't even be on this episode. It'd be an explained file. That's a different show. So what do you guys think? Is this parallel a coincidence, or is Chuck Zukowski onto something here?
It's definitely made me think about rethinking things that I think I know, but I think
you might know, not things you know.
I think I might know. Yeah. I think Chuck thinks that there's something incredible here.
Well,
I think
Chuck definitely thinks that. I'm asking you.
No, I know. I'm agreeing with him. Like, and now that I've heard him say 37th parallel a million times, like, I think I'm on board.
Yeah, me too. He definitely has got some good ad campaign. What about you, Rob? You like the 37th parallel? You think that's something, or is it just coincidence?
I think it's interesting. I think it's definitely interesting. It's something to look at. It's something to keep in the back of your mind that it does possibly exist, that it is possibly like a highway of alien activity. But, you know, after listening to all of this stuff, I mean, honestly.
Wow. You know, so far, this makes sense.
It all makes sense.
It made sense to a lot of people. The theory of the 37th parallel, it got more attention in 2016 when author Ben Mesrich wrote a book about Chuck's research called The 37th Parallel, The Secret Truth Behind America's UFO Highway. Ben Mesrich, he is a very well-known author. Many of his books have been turned into really big Hollywood films, such as The Social Network, that was based on his film, and the movie 21 about the MIT students who made millions in Vegas by counting cards. That was a Ben Mesrich joint. He wrote the book, wrote the book about that. But he also wrote a book about Chuck Zukowski, and it was called, the 37th Parallel. And he plugged his book about this on Coast to Coast AM with George Noory. And of course. He explained to George how Chuck was fired as a sheriff's deputy because of the investigation of cattle mutilations and UFOs. So here's George Noory wondering how Chuck Zukowski supports his family if he got fired and all he is a UFO researcher.
Well, what's he living on, Benny? You don't get rich chasing UFOs.
Right, and this is part of what's amazing to me about the story. So his wife, Tammy, who's actually a skeptic, she doesn't really believe in UFOs. She thinks Chuck's a little bit crazy. She works 2 jobs to support his hobby, essentially. She's kind of a saint in this. No, and she's great. I interviewed her, and one of my favorite quotes from her, she said, "Listen, it could be worse. He could be off having affairs. He's just running up into the mountains looking for UFOs." And so, from her point of view, it's his obsession, and she understands that, but she doesn't necessarily believe.
Man, get you a girl like Chuck has. As long as it's not cheating, this is fair game. Just go follow your dreams with a wife like that.
I don't know, man. I don't think you can ever. It doesn't matter because Stan Romanek, remember, he had a supporting wife and he still fooled around with that. What was her name? Valerie or something? All
right,
chick?
I'm not going to compare Chuck Zukowski to Stan Romanek.
Compare any guy to Stan Romanek.
I'm just saying, it doesn't matter. He could be looking for UFOs and still also having an affair. That's all.
Well, I mean, the fact that they even said that made me immediately think that he is having an affair and that he uses this as an excuse all the time. That he's
so
like,
wait a minute. I'm going to another convention.
Yeah,
honey.
I'm going to look for UFOs. I'll see you later. And then he comes back at like 3 a.m. wasted, smelling like perfume. And he's like,
wearing beetle bobbers, though.
UFOs were wild tonight.
The beetle bobbers. So I was thinking, there's just a string of fly-by-night motels all along the 37th parallel.
That actually makes a lot more sense.
But she is taking him. She is driving him. She is funding all this. She's there. He's not cheating. He is just chasing UFOs and this up and down.
She's too good for this guy.
Parallel.
She's too good of a woman for this guy. That is that is next level. Like, wife her up, give her a ring. She's the one for you,
Chuck
man.
figured it out. I know. I give it to Chuck. Right? Chuck figured it out, man. Good on him.
Dang, working 2 jobs and driving him to all these things. I mean, he must be packing.
He's doing something. Yeah. You know what? He's probably got a particle accelerator in the bedroom. This guy.
He doesn't need it. He's
if you know what I'm saying.
Some problems are technology.
But this interview went on. They go on to talk about our favorite subject this year, cattle mutilation. And George Noory does not believe that the military is responsible.
Theory, but I've ruled out a military test or some biological test because you don't have to do it on some guy's farm. You can do it you can have a lot where you have the cattle and test it on them right there.
Right, exactly. I mean, there really doesn't seem to be any point to going to someone's ranch and then leaving the body there.
Yeah.
So it's an odd choice, and I don't think that that's a possibility. And then the third idea is, UFO alien. Then the question is, well, why? I mean, what? And that's not something you can really answer until you know really what it is. But it's fascinating, that's for sure.
Yeah, it is fascinating, and I do agree with George Noory. It does make no sense. I think we even mentioned this, so we should, why, if the government's going to do it, they would just do it on someone's land? Why wouldn't they just make their own land?
Yeah, they can't afford their own cattle. God.
I love it. But hey, play Soundboard 9. I got a clip out of that, and this is some Unbeliever Carol vibes for sure.
UFO alien. Then the question is, well, why? I mean, what?
Yes. What in the butt?
He was getting a little flustered by George. He's like, look, I'm here to talk about my book. And George's like asking these all this weird stuff.
Yeah, but what in the butt is right? Those the
that's
actual
a good clip,
cow
man.
butts,
Play it again.
You know what
I don't want to
Yeah.
just steamroll it. Play it again. Let's absorb this.
UFO alien. Then the question is, well, why? I mean, what?
What?
Radioactivity settles in the anus.
But it's weird that this Ben Mesrich guy, I mean, he wrote the Social Network book and that 21 thing. Like, he's very mainstream kind of pop culture things. And like I said, many of his books, they're adapted to his big screen. So George has to know. Is the 37th Parallel coming to a theater near you?
Is there a movie behind this book, too?
Yeah, so it's sold to New Line, and the producer is Beau Flynn, who did San Andreas last year, and working on it now, and it looks going to be cool. We're working on sort of putting together the script right now.
That's great.
Yeah.
Who could be starring in it? What types of
Well,
people?
we're looking, I think Robert Downey Jr. is kind of the first choice right now. His people are very into it, and for him to play Chuck would be amazing. So I think that's the goal.
That'd be great.
Yeah, RDJ in his greatest role as Chuck Zukowski, the man who hunts UFOs on his wife's dime. I can't wait.
That'd be great.
Movie.
That'd be great.
That's a great title. The man who searches for UFOs on his wife's
On his wife's dime. Yeah.
Do you think RDJ would take this job? Do you think he would go
No,
out
this
for this
was in 2016. This interview happened. This movie
I
never
was
came
like,
out.
I was gonna say maybe now because you've seen how many more actors have taken up like these endorsements and like,
projects? I don't
all
know.
these commercials and stuff that they're all of a sudden in. Like I see so many more actors like endorsing so many more products right now on TV.
He did that shitty Dr. Dolittle movie, so I mean, the least he could do is do this UFO movie. Come on, man.
From the makers of San Andreas.
Yeah,
Robert Downey Jr. is Chuck Zukowski, the man who hunts UFOs on his wife's dime.
Why did he even mention that credit? That's not a good. It's not something to be proud of.
I would have just said
I thought
like
of the game for a second. I was like, oh, the game? Oh no, that crappy rock
The game would have
movie.
been cooler. I'm looking at pictures of Chuck Zukowski, and I am not seeing any kind of Robert Downey Jr. vibes with him. So
Not at all. I don't know what he's talking about. That makes sense.
Oh man.
But that's almost it. But before we go, I've got one short clip. And for some reason, at almost 40 minutes into this interview, where George Noory is talking to Ben Mesrich about the 37th parallel, George asked him to explain again what the 37th parallel is. And it sounds like he's just trying to kill some time with this second explanation.
Many of our bases are on it. You have things like Dulce Mountain on it, which is talked about a lot. You have the Taos Hum on it. You have numerous other these places on it. Most of these cattle and animal mutilations occur on it. It appears to be between the 38th and the 36th is the way Chuck looks at it.
I'm 37? Going to class. 37. My girlfriend sucked 37 dicks. In a row?
All right, sorry. I couldn't go this whole time talking about 37 without playing that. It's just driving me nuts. So,
Never apologize for that.
Drea, you got any final thoughts on the 37th parallel, America's UFO super freeway or highway or byway, whatever they want to call it?
I'm really intrigued by it. I know I must have heard about it in the past, but I really should have paid more attention. And now that I'm looking at it like on a map, it's crazy how close I've been to it.
It's littered with
so
little
much.
spots of strangeness all the way from Santa Cruz to the Pentagon.
Yeah, I'm just now even seeing, like looking at it on the map, that it runs along, the Tennessee and North Carolina. It kind of, I don't know, I'm seeing a connection to like the Brown Mountain Lights and all the weird stuff that goes on in this area too.
I was going to ask, does this have anything to do with the ley lines that everybody talks about? How there's like this supernatural paranormal thing going on with ley lines? Is the 37th parallel on a ley line? Is it a ley line itself?
It is a ley line itself, I believe.
Is.
So
it's the coolest ley line.
And they think there might be some kind of weird chemical coming. That's why UFOs are going to it. But there's also paranormal activity happening on it too. There's lots of indigenous people, grave sites all along the parallel as well. There's a lot going on here. But I don't know. So I want to say, go and answer this week's poll. What's going on in the 37th parallel? Is it alien bases? Is it secret government testing? Is it both? Or is it coincidence? Well, of course, other. So go to unbelieverspodcast.com to vote, and let's jump to another parallel. Yeah, once again, the Beyonderers with Landing at Socorro. Man, if you're into UFO disclosure and surf rock, you can't go wrong with the Beyonderers. That's Russ's suggestion of music for the week. I listened to this all while I was prepared for this. That's what got me in the mood for this. Great.
It's great. It's super niche, and that I love when we get Venn diagram artists like that between the Paranormal Song Warrior and this stuff. And
we're all on a certain parallel. It may not be the 37th, maybe the 69th parallel. We're all together in our degrees of doing this. But yeah, what'd you guys think, man? I like this whole concept that maybe all of this stuff is just happening on a weird stripe of America. And that maybe the 38th is like the cryptid parallel because of you get Dogman and Mothman and Bigfoot and Sasquatch all in a different parallel. There's not a lot of cryptids
I don't know,
on this.
Because when I was looking at that same map, West Virginia is just right. That like Virginia and everything is. I think it still kind of touches that. No, it is a bit further north, though, isn't it?
What actually makes it a parallel? Like, can it be squiggly? Can it still be squiggly? And if it's a parallel, like I know it's kind of I'm being nitpicky here, but what
did you take geometry? I'm just curious.
Obviously, I mean, you heard how I just described that.
The squiggly parallelograms.
It's been explained multiple times, not only to you, but to George Noory. So we don't need to.
What is the 37th parallel exactly?
It's between the 36 and 38.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's cool. I just keep on envisioning it as like Route 66 and just like, either aliens or cryptids just,
get your kicks
cruising
on
parallel
37.
Yeah.
Doesn't rhyme well. No.
I think so.
It's the alien superhighway, freeway, byway, highway. They've got it all. They've taken all the roads, but all roads have led to this because we still got. Man, I want to say thank you so much. We get a lot of great Unbelievers voice mailbag.
The Unbelievers mailbag.
Ooh, right in the mailbag.
Hey man, check your mailbox.
Hey, you got some new mail over here.
Mailbag. The mailbag is cool. Mailbag.
Sup, bitches? It's mail time.
Woo! Why? What? Wait. Yes, the Unbelievers voice mailbag. Getting back to its old glory, but we got a bunch of new submissions this week, right, Rob?
I think we did. It's almost getting out of control, actually.
I love it. That's what we wanted.
These call to actions are too effective.
They're perfect because I still have that medal waiting around. We've gotten so many great submissions. One of you guys might have won it already. We don't know. Let's see what we got in store this week.
All right. We'll get into the first one here. I think we may have a repeat caller. I don't know. We'll see what this is here.
That's fine. Enter early, enter often.
Roy is not this man's real name.
That was good.
Pretty good. That was really good. That was really great. And staying in the role. He's not like, hey, what's up, you guys? It's me. It's just like, Roy, it's not this
this man's real name.
That was very close.
That was superb.
I enjoyed it.
Roy is not this man's real name.
There you go.
I couldn't even tell which was which.
I know. Definitely the great cadence. I can see you add you in. No problem. All right. You've been submitted. I love it. What else we got?
Of the Rococo style that embellished the building.
Okay, now that sounds as if the Roy guy is now saying the Rococo style. That doesn't work as much.
Rococo is not this man's real name.
Oh,
was
if
good.
you call
like
with that
one.
next
of
week.
Of the Rococo style that embellished the building.
Yeah, you can't do the flat announcer voice of the Rococo style. There's a definitely.
It was still so good, though.
It was very good. I want him to combine them for some reason, like you were saying.
Please.
Yeah.
Should we go?
All right.
Should we move on to the next one?
Let's move on to the next one. We really appreciate that. Thank you, Rococo guy. I don't know how to call you. You didn't sign off, but let's hear our next one.
I have the secret information. I just can't share it.
Okay, this might be one of the best ones so far. And honestly, I think I recognize that voice. It sounds like Brendan. I haven't talked to Brendan a little bit, but play it again. I think that might be Brendan.
I have the top secret information. I just can't share it. You don't think?
All right, and now here's the actual call.
I have the secret information. I just can't share it.
Oh, okay, maybe. All right.
My favorite is how he just makes it sound like the guy just keeps on coming.
This is a top 5. This might be up in the top 3 right now. This was a really great one. You guys are definitely stepping it up in this. There is one medal left. Like, I've sent a lot of stuff on to, out to patrons lately, and I look at all the stuff we have. If you haven't gotten yours yet, it's coming very soon. I'm sending a lot of stuff out. Cool little gift packages with stickers and buttons and all kind of stuff in there. But there is that one medal sitting there waiting for someone to win this voicemail thing. It's there. It's very nice. All right. Let's play the next one. That one.
We have 3 more. Let's get the next one going.
Let's get through them. Yeah.
What's up, guys? This is Nick, the official, unofficial something or other. I don't have a title yet.
You have no title, Nicholas.
Hey, I just watched this documentary about Heaven's Gate on, you can bleep this out if you don't want to say the streaming service, HBO.
HBO's fine.
Super interesting to see how ufology and like the UFO and New Age movement kind of like collided with mass suicide cult thing. Spoiler, by the way, they all die. Really cool documentary. The reason I wanted to bring it up for the show is that they did an episode where they obviously talk about Art Bell, and I didn't know how influential he was in kind of the whole thing. But for real though, they did him dirty. Yeah. Poor Art Bell. They called him all sorts of names, blamed him for I guess, talking about the Hale-Bopp comet and like this companion thing that caused the 17 folks to flip out. But they even played clips from, coast to coast, and it's like he was just interviewing somebody. But yeah, just want to bring that up. If you guys do end up watching something about suicide cults, and you hear about Art Bell in it, just know they do him dirty. That's all I wanted to say. Just want to check in, just say hi. I love you guys. Amazing episode.
Hey, Nicholas. Are you about to get clipped?
Yeah, about that hole.
He snuck it in.
Snuck it right in at the end.
Nicholas Sarastavi pulling it in at the end, and I was aware of Art Bell's involvement in that because I want to say it is Richard Hoagland who is talking about the Hale-Bopp comet, and he is the one who was almost the herald of this thing that led to this. But yeah, Art Bell did get thrown under the bus. Maybe a little spoilers. There isn't. We do like to do a yearly Art Bell show, and that is coming. I don't want to celebrate his death so much as his birthday maybe this year.
Yeah,
it is coming. We have discussed it, and this will definitely be included in that. We will talk about him being brought up on this weird Hale-Bopp comet documentary.
And
thanks, Nicholas.
Of course, though we can't forget about
about that hole.
Got to give him his clip.
Exactly. Got it. Well, thank you, Nicholas. Thank you for the legit voicemail and sneaking in the little voicemail competition at the end. What else we got, Rob?
This is Rococo style, and I am very upset. AC $sign stole my answer from episode 106, Big Truckin' and Butt Fucking, and reused it in episode 113's poll results. And all I have to say to that, sir, is you violate the code of honor. There's only one big trucker butt fucker around here, and it's the Rococo style that embellished the buildings.
I thought that response sounded familiar, and thank you for calling it out, Rococo style. You were right. We got to get. Oh man, now we've got our first poll results voicemail. Well, our first voicemail feud going on, and between Rococo style and Nicholas Arastavi. Who knew, right?
Did you catch the clips in there? He
those good ones.
Of course, he hit us with
the Rococo style that embellished the building.
But then, he snuck this one in there, which I thought was really good.
You violate the code of honor when you do that.
So,
yeah,
I appreciate that.
How did he know we would be discussing Art Bell at the time when he did this very nice drop in Rococo style? Man, beautiful. You guys are really upping this. I don't know how I'm going to do this. This is going to have to be a top 5 or 10. Who's going to get something for this? You guys, there's so many great ones in this. Maybe we'll stop at 5.
Hey, fresh merch is on the way though, so we'll see.
There is some.
I love the energy, by the way, of Rococo style. Just in general, like all of it. I love all of it. I love that whole message right there. That was great.
Oh, you have to stand up for your shit, Rococo style. I appreciate it.
Can you imagine stealing something? We're gonna have to hold this guy to his put his feet to the.
You know what?
We'll
have Alex. We'll have to have Alex back on the show because that's AC $. He's been
AC $.
He's been a co-host on this show, so we can have him come on and explain himself. You know what I mean? He's probably going to hear this, so I'm sure he's going to have some explaining to do.
Yeah, plug the Soft Shoulder podcast, AC $,
there you
Soft
go.
Rock podcast that he's got going. So many great Unbelievers with podcasts now. I love it. I think we got one more before we get out, right, Rob?
Yep, let's check it out.
All right.
Hey, this is Hoseby. I got my puck buddies, Charles and Simon, and Mrs. Hoseby. Charles, Casey. Herbert. Good job, you're 5. All right, Casey. Hey, come check this out. Good job, dude. I'm no sheep guy, but I can flip a sheep. Good job, dude. Ready? We've been practicing this one. Say, ready? Break the curse. Break the curse. Say it loud. Break the curse.
Loud.
Break the curse.
Oh.
Good job, dude.
I heard it. I heard it.
So that was fun. You say hot gooey? Hot gooey. All right, good job, Charles. Bye, Unbelievers. Have a good week. Deuces.
Deuces indeed. Thank you so much, Hose B, for the real great inside stuff. The Deuces, to break the curse is really getting me. I love that so much. Man, I've honestly, and I can relate so much. I've gotten my kids to do soundboard stuff for so many years. It's so much fun to have them saying these great things. And yeah, Rob, I see you've got some of the ones he inspired tonight. Let's hear it.
I break the curse. Break the curse.
And he did have someone doing the call and response with him, which has made it even better. So,
yeah, I'm glad
extra
that
powerful.
I'm glad that we're getting them young out there. The Unbelievers are starting off real young. Our listeners are now training their children to become Unbelievers, and it's great. I'm very hopeful for the future and for the
our
next
army
generation.
grows stronger.
Yes, the army does grow stronger.
When my son Alex and Jack eventually take over the show in a few decades from now, it's going to be a whole new different thing, but it's still going to be there, and it's great.
It's going to be a lot of TikTok involved, but
thank you so much, Hose B. And I guess that's it for this. And I can't wait to clip these, and we're gonna figure out, I don't know, there's gonna be some kind of weird tournament of voicemail or poll results clips. How are we gonna do this?
I don't know.
I'm very excited to find out.
We'll have to figure something out. We'll figure something fun out.
All right, well, that's it. We got one more week. We'll take submissions next week. And so give us a call at 469-420-0114. And that's it for this week's Unbelievers Voice Mailbag.
The Unbelievers Mailbag.
Ooh, right in the mailbag.
Hey, man, check your mailbox.
Hey, you got some new mail over here.
Mailbag. The mailbag is cool. Mailbag.
Sup, bitches? It's mail time.
Whoa, we got time for one more thing. And Drea, it's everyone's third favorite segment, of course.
Bowl results.
This week's bowl, who should play Bob Lazar in his Hollywood biopic, Hollywood biopic. And the choices were Matt Damon, John Krasinski, John Heder, The Rock, or other. I'm going to ask you, Drea Mora, who do you think the Unbelievers said?
Honestly, I think that they probably are going to go with Rob's pick, which was John Krasinski, I think.
All right, going with John Krasinski. Rob, who do you think?
As much as I would love to see The Rock in that role, just because picturing him trying to be like nerdy and like still being jacked like that, being like super
Stephen
nerdy, does sound really fun. But I gotta go with my guy, dude, Krasinski.
All right, well, congratulations, tied with 6.06% with John Heder and The Rock, John Krasinski.
Wow.
Unfortunately, Matt Damon is the only one with 0 votes, 0% of the
Nobody
vote.
wants him.
Nobody followed my suggestion of Matt Damon at all. Everyone else got 6.6% of the vote.
That's what every time I think of Matt Damon,
Exactly.
I'm Matt
That's
Damon.
That's why I can't stop laughing right now. That's all I can hear in my head.
Yeah, well, whatever, because of course there are others. Who should play Bob Lazar in his Hollywood biopic? Brian motherfucking Frangie. By the way, does anyone actually eat quiche? Gross. What? WTF? I'm getting a new puppy. Oh, thank you, I'm getting a new puppy.
What? I make a good quiche.
Who should play Bob Lazar in his Hollywood biopic? Henry Zabrowski, Within 10 Feet. Signed, Genghis John. Thank you, Genghis John.
Idea. Yeah, give it to my boss. Give him a job. Give him another job.
There you go. He could use the paycheck. Who should play Bob Lazar in his Hollywood biopic? William Shatner, a.k.a. Weird. Ooh, Willie. Signed, Triad Emergency. Triad Emergency with the...
Weird? Oh. Or what?
Thank you, Triad Emergency. Who should play Bob Lazar in his Hollywood biopic? Lazar should just play himself. He's done a great job pretending so far. Signed...
Oh, wow.
Signed, Mr. Nerdstrom. Thank you, Mr. Nerdstrom.
Coming in hot, Mr. Nerdstrom.
Coming in hot is Mr. Nerdstrom. Welcome aboard, Mr. Nerdstrom. Who should play Bob Lazar in his Hollywood biopic? Someone hot and gooey, of course. Signed, Green Finhawk. Well, yeah. I mean, that's a given. We need someone who's...
They're all hot and gooey.
Det var så English, så var så hot-gooey, but emnet havde vi kender bare en love for med tars.
Exactly.
We need to be more
Green
specific.
Finhawk.
We need to be more specific than just someone who's hot gooey, though. Come on. Somebody to choose from.
Who should play Bob Lazar in his Hollywood biopic? There's only one man to play Bob Lazar. Only one man qualified to make the movie. They are the same man. Neil fucking Breen, bitches. Signed, a man. All right, well, a man is in the corner of Neil effing Breen to play him.
Wait, who's Neil Breen? I don't know who Neil Breen is. Do you guys know who Neil Breen is?
Look, you do your research.
No.
Okay,
we'll look for it after.
Who should play Bob Lazar in his Hollywood biopic? Al Pacino, ooh-ah, about saucer, ooh-ah. You didn't sign off.
That's fun.
Thank you.
That is fun, though. I like that.
That's a fun one. Who should play Bob Lazar in his Hollywood biopic? Gary Cole in his Bill Lumbergh costume. Same glasses and voice. Signed, Pants Filler. Okay. Gary Cole as Lumbergh should just be Bob Lazar. Okay. All right.
Okay, I can see it.
Well, thanks to the guy who is
be throwing up and filling my pants.
Thank you, Pants Filler. Who should play Bob Lazar in his Hollywood biopic? Is this a real question? It simply must be the great Brian Frangie. Signed, Corrupted M. I'm gonna think that's Corrupted Mask. He just ran
Possibly.
Yes, Corrupted Mask. Of course, Brian Frangie would be a really great Bob Lazar.
That's 2 votes for Brian.
If you don't think Brian Frangie should play Bob Lazar, well, just
ask women.
Thank you, Corrupted Mask. Who should play Brian Frangie? No, not who should play Brian Frangie. Who should play Bob Lazar in his Hollywood biopic? Pauly Shore with big glasses and a mild head cold.
The Weasel?
Signed Nuka-Cola, my blood is in it. I
love how specific that was.
Very perfect. Thank you, Nuka-Cola. Who should play Bob Lazar in his Hollywood biopic? I imagine a weird comedy like The Interview about Kim Jong-un and star Bill Hader. Side the Slan. Okay, Slan. I think Bill Hader was even one of the options, so maybe you guys lost now.
John Heater.
I think you guys lost now. No, you guys lost.
Okay, that's fair.
Thank you, the Slan.
Still didn't vote for Matt Damon, though, so...
Word.
There might be one in here. Who should play Bob Lazar in his Hollywood biopic? John Lovitz. Or does it have to be someone who is alive? Signed Jack Sarsaparilla.
I love Jack asking for rules in the floor results.
He is alive, and that's fine. But thank you, Jack Sass.
And it matches the description of a barilla's foot.
Thank you, Jack Sarsaparillas foot. Who should play Bob Lazar in his Hollywood biopic? I think Aaron Rule is the better choice. He was Kip in Napoleon Dynamite. Cool. Signed, Hose B. Hose B from voicemail. There we go.
Oh, okay.
All right. And there is something for cool. I know it.
Cool.
Remember, that was a girl who had like all the
dramatic
monsters
sound.
outside of her house? And she was just like, I don't care because...
Cool.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Cool. Thank you, Hose B. You're in the lead. Who should play Bob Lazar in his Hollywood biopic? Life Finds a Way. His name, Jeff Goldblum. Signed, Voodoo. That's a good choice, Voodoo.
Okay.
I don't know. He's got way too much likability to be Bob Lazar.
What? Oh, you don't? Okay, you don't like Bob Lazar.
No, not as much as I like Jeff Goldblum.
His name, John Titter.
His name, Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum. Thank you. Thank you,
Jeff
Voodoo.
Goldblum is not this man's real name.
Who should play Bob Lazar in his Hollywood biopic? The guy at my local pub's called Laser Bob. He can change his voice to sound like an alien. Weird or what? Signed, Rus of Yorkshire. Rus of Yorkshire, you're in the lead.
That's
yeah,
pretty
guy at his
funny.
local pub called Laser Bob. He can change his voice. Is that
weird? Oh. Or what?
Thank you, Rus of Yorkshire. Who should play Bob Lazar in his Hollywood biopic? It should be a team-up movie. Band Laser, Phil Schneider, the Hunk Guy, and the Weatherman. Signed, Harley Warren.
Yes.
I guess he meant Bob Lazar, not Band
they
Laser.
can fight against... Oh, right. They could fight against the crime squad, though.
Yeah, they could. This is a good villain team. You got Bob Lazar, Phil Schneider, the Hunk, and who else?
Don't be afraid. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm the weatherman.
And then he snaps your neck.
Afraid. Be very afraid. Crime Squad. Crime Squad, look out. Thank you, Harley Warren. Who should play Bob Lazar in his Hollywood biopic? Someone with 8 dicks, like me, signed Octocock Man. Thank you, Octocock Man. Who should play Bob Lazar in... He's back. He's got a great bit. Who should play Bob Lazar in his Hollywood biopic? Gary Oldman, signed Gary Oldman. Who should play Bob Lazar
He's canceled.
in his Hollywood biopic? Adam Sandler, star of critically acclaimed film Hubie Halloween. He makes my violet flame go into warp drive. Signed, Hot Dogs and Blood Logs. Adam Sandler as Bob Lazar. I don't know, but somehow this makes his violet flame. Wait, I don't know. Play it.
I am the vitamin enemy now. I am the vitamin new light alone. I am the vitamin mighty God. I am the light of God, shining every hour. I am the light of flame, blazing like a sun. I am the sacred power, freeing
Why is this so long? I don't know how possibly you could make this.
That baby went in warp drive.
Yeah, it's already there. Thank you, Hot Dogs and Blood Logs. Who should play Bob Lazar in his Hollywood biopic? I did a striptease in Nevada. My stage name was Laser Bob. Signed, Alien Leviathan. Wow, Laser Bob getting a
I wonder if they
appearance
work
in
with
this.
Nuka-Cola.
I have no idea. Who should play Bob Lazar in his Hollywood biopic? Nick Nolte. Trust me, I did the research. Signed, Mothman Mother. All right.
Hey, research is done. All right.
Nick Nolte. I don't know if we can trust him with this role.
Who should play Bob Lazar? Well, didn't Nick Nolte? No, that's Gary Busey who played Buddy Holly. Never mind.
I always get those two confused.
Oh my
who
god.
Who should play Bob Lazar in his Hollywood biopic? Paul Walter Hauser is the only option. Play that horse sound, Rob. What happened? Poll results over. Signed, The Machinist. Okay.
Oh dang! I thought that was Carol.
These are production notes from The Machinist.
Wow.
Okay, Paul Walter Hauser is the only answer because.
A horse will play Bob Lazar.
What happened? I don't know.
But Machinist poll results not over. We got a couple more. Who should play Bob Lazar in his Hollywood biopic? Charlie Sheen, Daniel Craig, or Hilary Swank. Signed, Mr. Nibs. Okay.
What a selection.
I don't feel like any of those
Good
guys.
pool.
I think Hilary Swank as Bob
I'd take
Lazar would
Hilary
be
Swank
hilarious.
over Craig or Sheen for
Weird.
sure.
He's so strange.
Thank you, Mr. Nibs. Who should play Bob Lazar in his Hollywood biopic? I think Bob Lazar's anus was already completely destroyed before putting Element 115 in it. Signed Bob's hooker, Janice. Okay? Thanks, Bob's hooker, Janice. Wait, what's going on with his thing?
We know that radioactivity settles in the anus.
So.
Especially if it's Element 115. Thank you, Bob's hooker, Janice. Who should play Bob Lazar in his Hollywood biopic? Look, Joanne, it's the Element 115 that settles in the anus that embellishes the Rococo style of the building. Now get me a Snapple. Signed, Blue Box UFO. He seemed to bring it all together tonight.
I love it.
The Element 115 does what?
We know that radioactivity settles in the anus.
But of course, that just only helps to...
Of the Rococo style that embellished the building.
All right. And then...
Joan, get me a Snapple.
Yay! It's actual clip now. Rob made the Snapple thing a clip. Thank you, Blue Box UFO.
Yay!
Thanks you, Blue Box UFO. And finally, the last one for this evening. Who should play Bob Lazar in his Hollywood biopic? I don't know. Whitley Strieberheil? Because we'll be like, what happened? Signed, Unbeliever Carol coming in under the gun. She said, I don't know. Is it?
Weren't Whitley Strieberheil? Not at all.
Not at all. Yes, because we'll be all like,
What happened?
but we got a new one. I don't know. We got a new one for tonight because it's better. It's even better than what would happen. We have,
UFO alien. Then the question is, well, why? I mean, what?
What? Unbeliever Carol. All right, that's it for this week's poll results, man. We've had so many good ones. So I'm gonna go over them now. We had. For the question, who should play Bob Lazar in his Hollywood biopic? We had Brian motherfucking Frangie. By the way, does anyone actually eat quiche? Gross, what the fuck? I'm getting a new puppy. We had Genghis John with Henry Zabrowski within 10 feet. We had Triad Emergency with William Shatner, aka Weird. Ooh, Willie. We had Mr. Nerdstrom with Lazar should just play himself. He's done a great job pretending so far. We had Green Finhawk with Somebody Hot and Gooey, of course. We had a man with, there's only one man to play Bob Lazar. Only one man qualified to make the movie. They are the same man, Neil fucking Breen, bitches. We had, I don't know. We had, it said Al Pacino, ooh-wah, about saucer, ooh-wah. You didn't sign off. I'll just read it again. We had Pants Filler with Gary Cole in his Bill Lumbergh costume, same glasses and voice. We had Corrupted Mask with Is This a Real Question? It Simply Must Be, the great Brian Frangie. We had Nuka-Cola My Blood is in it with Pauly Shore with big glasses and a mild head cold. We had The Slan with I Imagine a Weird Comedy like The Interview about Kim Jong-un and star Bill Hader. We had Jack Sarsaparilla with John Lovitz, or does it have to be someone who's alive? Jeez, come on. You're drunk, Jack. Go home. What are you talking about? We had Hose B with, I think Aaron Rule is a better choice. He was Kip in Napoleon Dynamite. Yeah, Kip in Napoleon Dynamite is a pretty spot on Bob Lazar. He even bought the wishing machine and the crystals and all that.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, he had the time machine from Stephen Gibbs in that movie. That's a great little nugget about Napoleon Dynamite is that the Stephen Gibbs time machine is in that movie.
Well, damn.
It's the best. We had Voodoo with Life Finds a Way. His name is Jeff Goldblum. We had my favorite, Rus of Yorkshire, with the guy at my local pub called Laser Bob. He can change his voice to sound like an alien. Weird or what? We had Harley Warren with It Should Be a Team-Up Movie. Bob Lazar, Phil Schneider, The Hunk Guy, and The Weatherman. We had Octocock Man with Someone with 8 Dicks Like Me. We had Gary Oldman with Gary Oldman. We had Hot Dogs and Blood Logs with Adam Sandler, star of critically acclaimed film Hubie Halloween. He makes my violet flame go into warp drive. We had Alien Leviathan with I Did a Striptease in Nevada. My stage name was Laser Bob. Oh man, this is so great. We got a couple more. We have Mothman Mother with Nick Nolte. Trust me, I did the research. We had The Machinist with Paul Walter Hauser is the only option. Play that horse sound, Rob. What happened? Poll results over. No, it's not over. We had Mr. Nibs with Charlie Sheen, Daniel Craig, or Hilary Swank. We all agreed on Hilary Swank. We had Bob's hooker Janice with, I think Bob Lazar's anus was already completely destroyed before putting element 115 in it. We had Blue Box UFO with Look, Joan, it's the element 115 that settles in the anus that embellishes the Rococo style of the building. Now get me a Snapple. And finally, Unbeliever Carol with, I don't know, Whitley Strieberheil, because we'll be like, what happened? I could ask, Drea Mora, who do you think won this week's poll?
As much as I would love to see Brian Frangie playing Bob Lazar, I have to go with the idea of Laser Bob and the pub from Rus of Yorkshire.
Rus of Yorkshire? All right, how about you, Rob? Who do you like?
I like the guy who said that Bob Lazar should play himself because he's been playing himself for years.
I thought it was really witty.
Mr. Nerdstrom?
Yeah, like Mr. Nerdstrom. I enjoyed that
I just
one
don't think Bob Lazar is a very good actor.
I don't agree with his opinion, but I do think it is funny.
It was
all
funny.
Right, we got a close one. It's between Mr. Nerdstrom and Rus of Yorkshire, but I'm going to say congratulations with the guy at my local pub called Laser Bob. He can change his voice to sound like an alien. Weird or what? Congratulations, Rus of Yorkshire. You just won this week's poll results. We've come to the end of the program, but before we go, Drea Mora, do you have anything you would like to say or plug?
Spirits and Spirits. We still have the we have a new Patreon up. I know I've mentioned it before, but we're getting new merch up as well. So you can find that at patreon.com/spiritsandspiritspod.
Hell yeah. Check out Spirits and Spirits. What about you, Rob? What do you got to plug?
I'm going to plug something that we always forget to plug. I'm going to plug our Facebook page. Like our page on Facebook. That? Yeah, we have a Facebook page as well. We also have the Unbelievable Podcast Network, which is a really fun place if anybody wants to join that. But I would say go and like our Facebook page because I think that could help us out a little bit. And if you haven't already followed our Instagram, we post a lot of funny stuff on our Instagram. We have some great artists that we work with. Raymond from Project Raven Creative, who always does awesome work for us, and we're posting it on there. So if you're not following our Instagram and seeing these posts, you're really not getting the full effect of an episode without seeing the artwork.
Yeah, and my plug will be I check out our store. We have a link in there, and some of these new designs. I know we're gonna be putting up a Mike Army design for all the Mikes who listen to the show. There's a lot of people named Mike or Michelle listening to the show.
I would say even if you're not named Mike, just represent.
But check it out. We're also going to put the great Bob Lazar, the Pimp Lazar design that was made by Raymond. It's going to be up on there. We'll have that up for shirts or whatever you guys want. And that's it. Yeah, go check us out on Patreon because we got a new movie commentary coming soon. We got new.
Yeah, should we announce the winner of that on the fly now?
Let's announce the winner. So our next movie commentary is going to be what movie?
Let's see. Know, I'm looking it up right now.
This is new for me.
I'm looking it up right now. Let's see. So the next movie that we will be watching, guys, is the classic, Unbelievable Podcast classic, Fire in the Sky.
Yes.
Woo! Dre has never seen Fire in the Sky. This week we'll be doing a movie commentary for it, and that will be up on our Patreon. So go check that out. The Unbelievers podcast host today were Drea, Mora, and me, Rus Ryan. Our producer and soundboard engineer is the wonderful Rob Okey. Get our tarot cards at unbelievablepodcast.com. You can join our Patreon by going to patreon.com/unbelieverspodcast. You can follow us on Twitter at unbelieverspod, and Instagram at unbelieverspodcast. Our Facebook group is the Unbelievable Podcast Network. And check out our merch store at TeePublic. The link is in the description. Check it out. We got all that new fun stuff. And thank you so much to our patrons, Johnny Knott, Sandy and Deborah Foles, Cade Bote, Chris Stroker, Jeffrey Harchnarv, Luis Payon, 8-Bit Melody, Jenny Dyer, Christopher Balderrama, David Egelhoff, Pam Z, JT Spranklin, Vic Foss, Little BB, Dr. Ortega, Tyler Ventura, Adam Dvorak, Corrupted Mask, Michael Phillips, Weary Exile, Carol Valley, Manny, MQ Ultra, CJP, Braden Hitt, Raymond Orwell, Todd X, Christopher Panici, The Moon, that judgy moon looking down on us always at night. And it does cool things. The moon isn't. Forget it. I'm getting into flat earth stuff. Mike Henry, Bryce Cronenberg Jr., Don Bright, Shannon Ferrigno, Tom O'Connell, Mark Braun, Donna Vance, Jenna Stevens, Cat Chaos, Jason Kelly, Mike, Brian Armashta, Michael, Army, Armento, Jack S, Wombat Preservationist. Our music advisor is Pandora3073. Our official composer and theme song creator is Unbeliever A.A. Ron, a.k.a. Aaron Schilb. Follow him on Instagram at the Aaron Schilb. Our official graphic designer and card maker who designed our logo is Raymond Orwell. Check out his work at P. Raven Creative on Twitter and Project Raven Creative on Instagram. Our official Unbeliever listening between the stations for a message from Art Bell is Scott E. Our official Hazmat Lou is Hazmat Lou. Our official Unbeliever without a title but always coming in the voicemail now is Nicholas Arastavi. Our official Unbeliever Racing Pug Twudgies, it kind of was, is Joe Filler. Our official Hawaii Paranormal Investigator, our official Wisconsin, Michigan Dogman Paranormal Investigator is Green Fin Hawk. Our official Resident Sagittarius is Gazanton. Our official Madman is Unbeliever Adam. Our official Mothman Enthusiast is Michael Shields. Our official MUFON Inside Man is Chris Damarayas. Our official Unbeliever Peacefully Eating a Hamburger is Michelle Durham. Our official Unbeliever Time Traveler is Taylor Nelson. Our official Ghost Hunter is Amelia Child. And Ghost Hunting New England and Hubie Halloween on Netflix. Our official Senior European Correspondent is Kay Mill of the I Don't Know podcast. Our official Guardian of the Bench is that Kraken Stacker. Official Alien Bopper is Nunchuck Bob. And this week's Unbeliever focus is Johnny Knotts, who is planning a very fun road trip this summer. I gotta say, me too. I cannot wait to get away, get on the road, finally ditch his last year of just loneliness and sitting around. But he came to us, he asked us what songs he should add to his summer playlist. And I told him, you can never go wrong with a little bit of... Is that a Chevy 69?
Bible jar. Bible jar. Bible jar.
Good night. In a row.
Discontinue! Discontinue!